Guys, our show sponsor, DraftKings, is celebrating the big game by giving you a shot to instantly win up to $25,000 in prizes with DraftKings Big Game Prediction Challenge. With up to $55 million in total prizes up for grabs, claiming this great offer is easy. Just download the DraftKings app. Signing up using the promo code Sonnen. Enter DraftKings free. Big Game Prediction Challenge, make your picks, and boom, you've got a shot to collect up to $25,000 in prizes instantly. It's free to enter, and with up to $55 million in total prizes up for grabs, you've got nothing to lose. Click on the link below, and remember to use the promo code Sonnen to get your shot at up to $25,000 in prizes instantly. So Nate Diaz has left the Dustin Poirier sweepstakes. And Nate did it very quickly. It was a form of social media. Got no problem with the Dustin fight. He's got a problem with 155 pounds. He declared his next fight will be at 170. Fine. But it starts to remove the players, right? I mean, it does appear somewhat obvious that it's going to be Conor McGregor, right? It appears somewhat obvious if Conor McGregor wants to fight you and you're a 155 pounder. Okay, wonderful, and you go fight Conor McGregor. Perhaps I am just trying to add to this conversation. Perhaps there was never anything to talk about in the first place. But the insertion of Conor McGregor into a title fight with Dustin Poirier is very much worth talking about, in that it's the opposite of what we were discussing 2 weeks ago. We all as a community were very agreed upon the idea that the winner of the main event would take on the winner of the co-main event. And that didn't change. That didn't even change after Michael Chandler had won. It didn't even change when Poirier won. It changed when Conor lost. As soon as Conor got beat, we all kind of threw away everything we had been saying for 2 months and said, no, wait a minute, it's got to be Conor, it's got to be Poirier, let's do it again. This is a trilogy after all. Oh, and we got to throw the title on the line. I'm as guilty of it as you guys. I understand. We did not see that coming in many ways. We didn't love the idea of Chandler versus Poirier as much as seeing a more familiar name in Conor McGregor. Seeing Conor try to get redemption, or watching Conor fall on that sword once and for all and never be able to bounce back. But whatever part of it is that story that you like, that story did change, not when Chandler won and not when Poirier won, but when McGregor lost. So perhaps I'm the dog chasing his tail. I understand that, but I do feel as though there was a little bit of dialogue, at least at one point, for Poirier to not necessarily go against McGregor right away, but instead enjoy a little parity within his career, which is where you insert Diaz. I would have hypothesized that the 55-pounders would have got quite competitive about who was going to face who between Chandler, Oliveira, and Gaethje. I would not have hedged a bet that they would have done the opposite and started all pointing the finger at you do it. I assumed those three guys would have started bickering in the media, politicizing, and strategizing about who they were each going to fight next and offer your argument as to why you should get it. I did not know that they would do the opposite and go, no, you two. I never saw that coming. It's just one of those things. They're not the only ones. I mean, I could talk to you guys until I'm blue in my face that the biggest group of fake tough guys I've ever had to be around is cage fighters. I've never been around a more fake group of tough guys ever. Right now is the opportunity to start bickering. It's a triangle. There's three of you. One of you is going to be the odd man out. The two of you that make the most compelling argument and show that you want it the most are going to get it, and the other guy is going to sit on the side. Instead, they all holstered their weapons and said, no, I'm out. You two go. I'm waving a white flag. You two figure it out. But they're not the only scaredy cats out there. It's going on at heavyweight right now. There was a time when if a punk kid from 205 pounds threatened to come into your division, in this case heavyweight, and in this case being John Jones, you would be the one to meet him at the door. You would meet him at the door and let him know whose house this is. There is not a heavyweight alive that can fog a mirror who has called out Jon Jones. Not one. And you can always turn in the world of cowardice, which is what you heavyweights live in the world of cowardice that you live in, you can always turn to the idea that it was stated by Dana White at a press conference that Jon will be fighting for the championship, and therefore I have no standing in this matter. And the kids on the playground will let you do it. Because as equally as scared as you are is as equally as dumb as the new MMA audience has become. I can tell you in the 90s when I was coming through it, the audience, though much smaller, expected more. And you weren't going to fool them by saying, well, by golly, I got no shot at Jon. He's going right into a championship fight. You would have called him out. And you would have sprinkled in a little bit of credit for the smart mark in the front of the class that realized calling out Jon Jones, who's going to go ahead and whip your ass. I understand why you don't want to fight Jon. You're not going to beat him. But now that the press conference has been declared and he has been stated a number one contender in a division that he's never fought at, you are safe to call him out and never have to actually go get your ass beat. Thus making you a little bit more intelligent than the guy that wants us to all have heard and remember a press conference that was done 3 months ago by Dana. Not one heavyweight, literal statement, not one heavyweight has called out Jon Jones. Could you imagine? Do you imagine the opportunity that you would be looking at, the headlines that you would get? I was on my trusted MMA sites today, the bloodyelbow.com and the MMAmania.com. By far and away, the most leading story was the retirement of James Vick. James, thank you for your service, by the way. I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed your career. I hope you enjoy retirement. I was then met with other leading stories that were so desperate they even went to the financial woes of ONE FC. So desperate in the world of MMA for some kind of an activity that right now in present time on the two websites that I go to, one of them has the financial woes of an organization taking place continents away. That would be to anybody that had the sense that God gave geese a very clear message that there's not a lot going on in the world of the free format fighting systems today, and I have an opportunity to stir something up. For whatever reason, today, I'm not competing with quotes of Conor McGregor or fainted attempts of a comeback by Brock Lesnar or what's going to happen with Floyd Mayweather. For whatever reason, nobody in the world of MMA woke up today to the point that financial statement from continents away, I mean, could you imagine my point here? They would have no idea to know if those were true or not. It still made the headline because they're that thirsty and that hungry for something to talk about, but not one fighter could come out with something meaningful. Not one fighter could look at that, what we would call in the business a down week, as an opportunity to be the only one heard. You can go about arguing a couple of different ways, but you really only have a couple of options. Okay, it's like music, there's only so many notes. You can wait until the room is crowded and the room is full, and then you can hope to shout over everybody else. Or you can wait until the crowd and room is very quiet and you can speak softly, knowing everybody will listen because there's nothing else to be heard. So Nate Diaz, a meaningful, recognizable contender for a championship with Poirier, has removed himself from the equation. Even Conor McGregor has gone oddly quiet. The three other guys in the triangle all hope the other two go do it. Nobody in heavyweight today or any other day has called out Jon Jones. I could not imagine being in a division and having a guy come to that division and just standing aside. I could never imagine being that lack of competitive inside or that lack of ego or of self-respect to stand aside like every UFC heavyweight has done silently. Not only take your medicine, you're going to say nothing about it. Sit there and shut your mouth. I could never imagine a day of my life where that would have flown. But the fake tough guys of mixed martial arts in 2021 weight by weight, class by class, are doing exactly that.